Box presents Test Drive 2 for Duel. A Sega Mega Drive and Genesis game. Published by Accolade.
Like the original Test Drive, the focus of the Duel is driving exotic cars through dangerous highways, evading traffic, and trying to escape police pursuits. While the first game in the series had the player simply racing for time in a single scenario, Test Drive 2 improves upon its predecessor by introducing varied scenery and giving the player the option of racing against the clock or competing against a computer-controlled opponent. The player initially is given the opportunity to choose a car to drive and a level of difficulty, which in turn determines whether the car will use an automatic or manual transmission. The number of difficulty options varies between gaming platforms. Levels begin with the player's car, and the computer opponent, if selected, idling on a roadway. Primarily these are 2 to 4 lane public highways with many turns. Each level is different, and they include obstacles such as bridges, cliffs, and tunnels in addition to the other cars already on the road. Each level also has 1 or more police cars along the course. The goal of each level is to reach the gas station at the end of the course in the least amount of time. Stopping at the gas station is not mandatory, and one could drive past it if inattentive. The consequence of not stopping is running out of gas, and thus losing a life.
Ballistic presents
The player begins the game with 5 lives, one of which is lost each time the player crashes into something. The player is awarded a bonus life for completing a level without crashing or running out of gas. In addition to losing a life, crashing adds 30 seconds to the player's time. Cars could crash into other traffic or off-road obstacles such as trees or by falling off the cliff on one of the mountain levels. They could also sustain too much damage by staying off the roadway for too long on the flatland levels. Players could also lose a life when using a manual transmission by redlining and consequently blowing the engine. Crashing into a police car instantly ends the game, regardless of the number of lives the player has left. Police cars appear in every level, and if the player is driving faster than the speed limit when encountering one of them, the police car will follow in pursuit. If at any point while being pursued the police car is able to pass the player's car, the player is forced to pull over and receives a ticket stating the offense and the speed of the vehicle. While this does not cost the player a life, it does take away valuable time. Players can avoid being pursued by police by slowing down before encountering them, anticipating them through the aid of a radar detector, which comes standard in all vehicles in the game. In the standard version of Test Drive 2, the player has the option of using one of 2 vehicles, 3 in the 1992 console versions of the game. These vehicles are presented at the beginning of the game with technical specifications, including top speed, torque, and acceleration rates. The cars included a Porsche 959 and a Ferrari F40. The third car is a Lamborghini Diablo, only available in the console versions. There are 4 available courses in the console versions of the game, each of varying length and difficulty. Each is a route on a public highway in a different part of the continental United States. The courses included are: Desert Blast, difficulty easy, seemingly takes place somewhere in the US Southwest. City Bound, difficulty medium, it is not entirely clear where this takes place, but in various parts of the course, Mount Rushmore can be seen. East Coast, difficulty hard, takes place in the eastern US, with the last section of the course including a view of the New England coast. West Coast, difficulty hardest, takes place in the US West Coast, and is the longest and most difficult course in the game. The Seattle skyline and Space Needle can be seen in the beginning parts of the course. The game can technically be won if the players are not stopped by the law. At which point an animated female police officer smiles at their character, to which the character smiles in return. If the player is apprehended by law enforcement for various infractions, including evasion of police, on any course, the end sequence shows the same female police officer placing the player under arrest. It's virtually impossible to complete any given course without a police confrontation at the end of the game, due to the fact that the players must maintain high speeds to evade police cars on the highways. Computer Gaming World stated that those who liked Test Drive would like this version more, but that those who did not like the predecessor's steering system should avoid it. Compute favorably reviewed the game's realism, especially with a joystick, but stated that installation was overly difficult and frustrating.